What's your reaction to today's news?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously very sad, right? The industry has lost a leader. You know, we've always looked to Apple to really be that game changer, and, you know, there's always going to be that question of, you know, how things are going to be going forward. Obviously, and, you know, want to extend our condolences as well, too, to his family and to the broader community.
Well, I mean, here you mentioned the family here. I mean, you know, was Apple really his family as well in the greatest sense? Was Steve Jobs Apple and Apple Steve Jobs? I mean, it's quite interesting to note that it was not his family who announced his death, but it was the company.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, the two were very much synonymous, and I think if you look at the way Steve ran the company, right, it very much was an embodiment of himself. And that's really what made Apple unique, right, compared to many other companies in the industry where, of course, you have a lot of, you know, due diligence processes and corporate, you know, this and that. The way Steve ran his company, that micromanager that he's known to be, that decision maker that he's known to be, that's really what made him and the company unique, right? They said, you know what, we don't care what the focus groups say, we know this product is going to do well because intuitively we know that we're going to put that out there and take that bold step forward, and that's what made them unique. And I hope that, you know, this corporate process that he's left behind him will continue with that kind of a spirit and that entrepreneurial, you know, let's just go for it type of mentality.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think that the company has been left in good hands here? We had Tim Cook, of course, with the launch of the Apple 4S yesterday. Many comparisons with Steve Jobs were made at that stage, negative in many cases. So what is your view?
Well, of course, you're never going to replace that charismatic leader that Steve Jobs was, right? I mean, he was always that very unique personality there. But I think to Tim Cook's credit, and not just to Tim Cook, right, you look at that executive board, you know, Phil Schiller, who leads the marketing and obviously was one of the guys that really helped to bring that whole Apple image out to the masses. You look at guys like Jonathan Ive, who was running the design and so forth. There was a lot of folks within that team that really helped make Apple successful. It wasn't purely just about Steve Jobs alone. Now, are we going to still have that guy with the black turtleneck and jeans up on stage doing his signature presentations? No, but I think there are opportunities, and there is enough strength there where at least in the short term we're going to still continue to see good stuff coming out of them.
Right. What about his legacy within Apple? Will he be remembered for the way he turned the company around in essence? And, well, I guess, you know, his legacy is there because it's in the Apple DNA, effectively, is like his DNA.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess that's kind of what I was alluding to as well, too, right? If that mentality that, you know, go for it because I know consumers are going to want this kind of thing, if that mentality is ingrained in the company, which it should be, then, you know, that does mean that going forward this company should be able to continue to move ahead with that. You know, but again, it'll be interesting to see how that ultimately manifests itself. Maybe, you know, for the next year or two, sure. What's going to happen in the next 3, 4, 5 years? Are we going to still have that, you know, these game changers like the iPod, iPad, iPhone, whatever? What is that next thing going to be? Is it going to be iCloud like Steve wanted it to be? You know, we'll see how that all turns out.